Same thing, start at the corners too and just drag up like that. Drag, drag, drag. That gives you that kind of dirty, worn look. Almost kind of like wood graining. Okay? Now that's not going to accomplish our leather look. I'll show you what will. But this is going to give us our base to kind of a texturized, kind of more realistic feel. Same thing here. We're going to bring our brush up and down. Let the color go with it. Give it that kind of dirty vibe. It's been worn, loved. Some mage took it through all of Skyrim, fighting dragons, only to retire to his giant house and take care of 50 orphan children. So speaking of orphan children, I got Hearthfire, or I should say rather, Player 1 got me Hearthfire, and I really liked it because it's quicker than working on a house in real life. Because any of you who's picked up a house in real life knows it takes forever to work on things, a little project here or there, and then things eventually get done. Well, Hearthfire is awesome because you just grind away the game and then you just get your stuff done. Well, I'm on the verge of getting a couple orphan children in Skyrim. And if you get Hearthfire, you can do that. So basically, I built the house in Hall, however you say it, the one that nobody can pronounce. It's in the middle of, I believe, the Pale. And I went out. I thought, oh, hey, you know what? I need to get some stuff for these kids, so they'll be prepared, right? I was trying to be a good mother, good dragonborn mom. And I went out to these different stores, and I got dolls and clothes and kids' clothes and different things like that. And I put them in a chest, and when I came back, they weren't there, but it wasn't the chest in the house. So I was like, all right, great. So all the stuff I got for these kids is gone. So I ended up having to go out and I stole these things from all over Skyrim. It was more of a like Robin Hood thing, right? Because I'm taking from the rich and giving to the poor. And I stole these dolls because I wanted the little girl to have a doll and a little boy, because you never know. I mean, who am I to judge? Maybe he likes dolls, right? Everybody's different. And I got little, tiny daggers and things like that, stuff I thought kids would like. Granted, the game is not going to be able to tell at all, but just the real world me wanted them to have this. So I went ahead and got that, and I put it on their beds. And it was like poltergeist. I put these things on their bed, and I'd go into another room, and I'd build something to put on the walls of the house, and I'd come back, and poof, they'd be on the floor. Every single time. I finally just gave up. Like, I couldn't keep these dolls on there. I wanted to get these kids and bring them home. Nope. No toys for you kids. Not Skyrim. You can have a doll, but you'll never be able to keep it in your room. It'll just phantasmally throw itself across the room. So, yeah. I don't know if anybody else has that problem or it's just me. I'm also playing on PlayStation and not on the PC, which I'm sure those of you watching Twitch is black to me, but I don't mind. I like PlayStation. Besides, it forces me not to cheat. And I'm a cheater when it comes to gaming. If I had the PC version, I would have been one of those people who put 10,000 cabbages down a mountainside. So, anyway, enough about my Skyrim adventures. How about the Skyrim book? As you can see here, we have it pretty dirtied up at this point. The book is looking pretty good. See, it's got that kind of worn texture now. We use that weirdo Goku brush to drag across. You're going to let that dry for a little while. Okay? Make sure your fingers aren't dirty so that the spine doesn't, the color doesn't drag off from the spine onto the pages here. So we're going to put that to the side for a minute. It's pretty much almost dry already because of that heavy body acrylic that I added to that, or heavier body acrylic. It dries quicker. So pretty soon we'll be ready for a stippling kind of effect. So I'm putting that over there at the moment. Looking pretty good. I'm going to bring my vase, or rather potion, over here. I'm going to give it another coat or two. See how it's doing. Is it tacky? Just slightly. Yes, it is. Okay, that's all right. Because it's glass, it's probably taking longer to dry. There is a certain amount of evaporation and drying that happens in things like paper as opposed to glass, and vice versa. It just depends on the porousness of the material, the different ways things react, or so I've read, like I say, no thermodynamics degree. So we're going ahead and putting another coat of paint on this, dragging that paint up again, drag, drag, drag. Great. In a moment, we're going to check on our other ingredients in the freezer and see how they are doing. Oh, geez, finger's stuck in there almost. Okay. That's good. I feel like I'm listening to the soundtrack from Bambi in the background. I don't know what this channel is. Kind of wanted to find something relaxing, like Ennio, but it's just making me tired. This is looking pretty good. I like where this is going. And I hope that we put our little gold stripe on here, our gold crisscross, like the nicer, more expensive potions, that it works well. We'll find out. You and I are going out on an adventure together. Most of the time it will turn out good. Sometimes it will be jacked up. But that is okay. Because that is what life is about anyway. It's making mistakes, finding things out the hard way, and then trying to do better next time. Because if we all woke up perfect every morning, things would be really, really boring. Okay. Although clothes shopping would be easier. 10 minutes later, thought, right? Okay, it's looking pretty good. Alright, I like how that's going there. Let me go ahead and put this right here. Get my finger out of there. Get this another coat at the top there. Got it. Going around in a circle. So my kitchen's been kind of overtaken by Skyrim crafts tonight. I have a feeling that we're going to have a very quick midnight dinner tonight. Because I didn't have time to cook tonight. Sure, Player One is getting hungry. Since he is incapable of cooking, then I must feed him. Just kidding, Player One, when you're watching. You can cook. So that one's pretty good. Our brush is still filled with red. I'm going to let this move across here. And take a look at our book again. Just 1 second after I check our giant's toe to see how it's doing cooling-wise. So let me pull that out. Let me check my computer here. Looking good, looking good. Pretty nice. Looking pretty good. All right, terrific. Well, the internal temperature of this is probably kind of warmish, but the whole thing in general, I mean, it's pretty warm on the inside, but on the outside it's nice and cool. So it's not like piping hot. It's rock hard, so that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. So you can see here, I'm going to bring this down. Kind of looks like a big toe. Looks a little weird. Looks a little flat, right? Looks kind of big for a bowl, actually, but that's all right. Let's see here. How big is it compared to our bowl? I mean, it is a giant toe, so it's supposed to be huge, right? Put the moss and the bear claws around it. Yeah, I like it. I think it'll work. We can start on that in a moment. We're going to paint that all at once. So my pan is nice and cold here. You don't have to do anything with those bowls, so that's kind of nice. I'm not really worried about the bowls. They're already ready. You can buy them like that. All right, so taking a look at our book here. Kind of got that worn look to it. It's almost dry, the stippling here. Or I'm sorry, the Ugh, I didn't think the word. I'm tired. Sorry. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to bring over our blue paint again. Our area is a little messy here. That's alright. Sometimes creativity is a little messy, right? Okay. So, now that we have this right here, I'm going to get out my other paper. So I was using this to put the book on. I don't want to get my table too messy here. So far, I managed not to get paint everywhere. Let's see if we can keep that trend going. Normally, that's not something that works for me, but tonight it's going pretty well. Okay. Got our dark color there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kind of put this paint around here like that. See what I'm doing? That's actually a black there. Now, this is the point where we're going to use the black for sure, like we would normally use it. Now I want you to go ahead and get your Brillo pad, and you're going to ball it up real good. And this is the important part right here. When you're balling it up, make sure that you kind of get like an area that's kind of flat, like that. Try to flatten it, okay? And when you put your paint on your paint area, whether you're using a palette or whatever, plate, make sure it's not too thick because you don't want it to get caked in there. You just want it to kind of get dragged across the top. So you're going to, idea is to stipple. And when you stipple something, you're not painting it, you're just giving it a texture. So go ahead and kind of drag that across, or not drag it across, but dip it in there gently. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lean my book back a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to start very gently stippling everywhere. Now this seems like it's a process and a half. That's because it is. Stippling takes a while to do. So don't be afraid to just go stipple crazy, just move everywhere. The more texture you add, the better. Okay, so keep doing that. All right, that's nice. It's giving us a real nice texture there. It's looking a lot like the book in the game. Keep adding that stipple. It might be difficult for you to see when I show you here. Maybe you will be able to see it, but in real life, it's starting to get a nice texture there that looks very realistic, like kind of a worn fabric / leather. Now when you're stippling, you can use different colors. If you don't like the color of the book, just because I'm using blue, like a bluish, blackish kind of, color for the theme, doesn't mean you have to. If you want your books a different color, do whatever you want. Be creative. But if you want it more like the game, go ahead and follow kind of the design that I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what that stippling looks like now. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit. It might also look a little wet to you. Okay. I'm going to do that on the back side as well. You do need some more paint though. Run out of paint. I am going to use this other acrylic because I don't want to use all my thick Reeves paint. And I actually am going to increase the amount of paint that I laid down because I want my stipple a little bit thicker. So I'm going to use that kind of slightly thicker paint on there before I spread it across thinner. I'm going to make it a little thicker now so the stippling, like this weird material, picks up the stipple a little bit better. Okay, so like I said, don't be afraid to get crazy with it. Texture is realism.